Hey there, Sherry G. Welcome back to my channel. And while you're at it, hit the like button. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so that you are notified whenever I drop content. Also, please share. I'm brand new here in these YouTube streets and I am trying to build my tribe. So, before I get started with my content for this video, let me go ahead and get the stuff out the way. Everything that is shared on this channel is of my opinion and the opinion of the others that share. It's all alleged and it's for entertainment purposes only. So, now that we have that out of the way, love and marriage, Huntsville. I want to go back to the beginning, and I'm not going to break down everything, but like I mentioned in my first video, the thing that drew me to this show was the premise that the show was built on. So 3 couples coming together to form a group, a company, to build affordable housing to give back to their community in Huntsville. And from that time to now, there's a lot that has happened, but it wasn't what we thought, right? The couples have disbanded as far as the group. The group was called the Comeback Group. That group is no more. And there's been so much that's taken place, and just the level of toxicity here recently has just been unreal. And so we're just hoping that season 6 will see a turnaround. But I just want to go back to the Comeback Group and when it was first formulated, and kind of give, just some things that I gleaned from that. And like I mentioned earlier too, so my whole interest, especially when in the show, especially when I found out that these couples were going to be doing the affordable housing, is that my family and I are in the process of building our own brokerage. And our hope is not only to have a brokerage, but to build affordable housing as well. So we're a few years away from that, but we are in the process. Everyone is doing their part of what they need to do to come together and build this business. But anyway, going back to the Comeback Group, and when things first started back in 2018 or 2019, the 3 couples came together, and it was Martel. It was Marcel who actually found 47 acres of land, and he found a deal. So this was really great news, right? They had 47 acres and what seemed like a really good deal that they could all come together and form their business and start building the affordable housing project that they were dreaming of. This is the whole purpose of them coming together and forming the Comeback Group. But anyway, as we know, that never happened. And the 47 acres it's no more. The 47 acres is now 37 acres, and there's a story behind that too. And I'll be giving some commentary around that a little later on. But in the beginning, Marceau found this property. He found all this land, and everyone decided that this was good and this was a go. But something happened where it ended up that Martel and Melody Holt actually, they purchased the property because the Scotts, so you have the other 2 couples, the Scotts, it's Tisha and Marceau, and then there's Maurice and Kimmy. and Maurice and Marceau are brothers. So anyway, Martel and Melody were ready to go ahead with the deal. So like all of their finances were in place, obviously, and the credit, whatever it was that they needed to sign on the dotted line and make things happen. But for some reason, the Scotts were dragging. And so it was taking a while for them to like do this, right? So Melody and Martel decided they were just going to go ahead and buy the property before someone else purchased it, because they didn't want it to get away from them. Because this property, I guess, was hot, right? So they didn't want it to get away from them, and I guess they figured that this was the right amount of land to do what they wanted to do and build the number of houses that they wanted to build. So everything was just like perfect with this deal. So the Holts were ready and the Scotts were dragging. So I don't know what happened, but anyway, the Holts went forward and they purchased the property. What was supposed to have happened was Martel was supposed to get with the guys, Maurice, and allegedly Martel was supposed to get with Maurice and Marceau and let them know that this is what Melody and he were going to do. He was supposed to talk to them about it. And so in the interim, I guess Melody assumed that Martel did that because they purchased the property, and he didn't tell her that, hey, I never spoke with the guys. They don't know. So anyway, they decided that they were going to, they held a meeting, and at the meeting, they told the couples, that it came out that Melody and Martel had already purchased the 47 acres. And the Scotts, if looks could kill, right? And then they got angry because you purchased the property and you didn't tell us, you didn't say anything to us, you didn't ask us anything. No, granted, I could feel them on that, right? Like, what? We're supposed to be doing this together. And then, if I recall, Tisha said, well, but Marceau actually found the land. And I get that too. But, you can't just find the land. Like, you could find the perfect car, you could find the perfect house, but you got to get your stuff in order. And if this is the perfect car and this is the perfect house and it's only one of it, then chances are someone else is also looking at it. And if they are not looking at it yet, eventually, it's for sale. So it's first come, first serve, right? So whoever can come and, they got their stuff in order, that's who I'm going to sell it to. I'm trying to make some money, right? So the right buyer comes along, the person who meets everything and who can do this, the first person who can do that, they get it, right? They had no reason to just hold this property for everyone to decide when they were ready. So I'm not really sure what happened as far as the financial aspect or why the Scotts were dragging. I do understand them being upset and angry about it. So anyway, as things move on, I guess they never got their stuff together. They never came back to Melody and Martel and, said, hey, look, we'll pay you back for your portion, whatever it was. That was the issue in the first place. I obviously, they never got that part straight. So Melody and Martel then have a conversation about disbanding the group. And, Melody's like, well, what do you think about continuing with this group? Because we own the land and she didn't say this, but in the back of her mind, I could could hear her saying, or imagine her saying that, because we own the land and they still haven't done anything to help with this or to contribute or anything. I mean, yeah, Marcel found the land, but I mean, what about the financial aspect? On that part, they haven't done anything. So Martel actually said to Melody, I think we should disband the group. And so they had called a meeting with the others. And this was right before they sat at the table with them. And that Melody and Martel had this conversation. And so she was in agreement. She felt that they should disband the group. And he also agreed. So everyone's sitting at the table. And they decide, they're going to do their vote. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they had to do a show of hands, like yay for who's all in, or I'm not really sure if it was yay for who wants to disband it or who wants it to dismantle the group, or yay for who want to continue. But whichever way that vote went, Melody did not vote to continue with the group. She was against it. And then when it came to Martel, everyone else wanted to keep it. Melody didn't. And Martel said that he was on the fence. So there's two things that happened that got me thinking that, okay, what is going on with these people? And the first was when the Scotts were dragging, I'm wondering, okay, so what is really going on? I mean, didn't you know that, you're business people. You're out here already doing things in real estate. So I thought, right, I think they were doing reconstruction or construction. The Scotts, Maurice had Credit One, which is a credit restoration company. So, you know how this works, or you should know how this works. Right? If you purchase a home, you know how this works. You sit down, you got to have your down payment, and it's more, your finances aren't just, do you have the money? What kind of money are you making? But your finances consist of several other factors. So, do you have the money for a down payment, if it's necessary? How stable is your current income? So not only do you have the ability to repay the loan, but how steady is the income that you have? How steady is it? How reliable is it? And what would happen should you be out of work? Is there like money in savings, that you could still make these payments if you were out of work, or for some reason your stream of income was put on hold? It's that, and then it's your character as far as credit is concerned. Like, how are you doing with your current creditors? Like, are you paying them? Like, you might have the money. There's people who have money and just don't pay their bills. Yeah. I used to work in a bank, and I used to see that all the time. I'm like, but you have the money, you're just not paying your bills. And they didn't even have a lot of credit. Just not paying their bills. So, what's your character like? So you already know that all of these things are happening, that all of these things are requirements. So you already know. And they never alluded to, what really, really happened. But for me, that was like a red flag that went up regarding the other couples. And my viewpoint as far as them and their dealings with business. Like, how business savvy are they really? How trustworthy are they really as partners? And so the lesson for those of us like myself who are looking to do business with other people, even if it's family, you have to know where everyone stands before you come to the table. And I don't know that the Holtz, Melody and Martel. I don't know if they were the Holtz then. It's Melody, Cherie, and Martel Holt now, because they're divorced now. But I don't know if Melody and Martel really knew that about their friends, the Scotts. I don't know. I don't know, but you have to know. Like when you sit down and you decide to join in a venture with other people, whether it's family, a friend, whomever it is, you got to come with some knowledge of where they stand financially, and that's everything from, like you said, from money that they might have in savings, and these are all personal things, but those are things that are necessary to share and to know when you sit down at the table and you come into partnership with other people. So I get the feeling that, well, we know something was off with the Scotts. I don't know if it was both Scotts or one Scott, or if it was a husband and a wife, maybe one of the husbands, and I don't know, like that part. And if it was alluded to, I missed it. So if you know, please share it in the comments. But anyway, I don't think that Martel and Melody knew. And I think from that point on, it was like a red flag for Melody, because she is a very business savvy person. So just like myself, I think that was a red flag for her. Like, she never mentioned it, but I think that was a red flag for her. And so that was the reason why she probably wanted to disband the group. Like, these people don't have it together, and I'm not going in business with them. We have the land. Let's just move forward without them. I get it. And trust me, I would have done the same thing. Even if it means I had to be the odd man out, right? Even if it means everyone else was going to be mad. There's just no way I would go forward with them. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing that stood up to me was Martel's snakish behavior. I was like, oh, you just had this conversation with your wife. Now you sit at the table with your friends and you're acting a pure donkey. In my opinion, that was very snakish. And not only that, they were sitting at the table, and he started like saying all sorts of things to her, like saying that she was the reason for things falling apart. She didn't keep friends. She couldn't keep friends. And I mean, he was just going on saying all kind of stuff. But for me, I was like, oh my God, like he's talking to her like this at the table with their friends, but also while the cameras are rolling. And then it was like, it was that point when I knew we were dealing with, there was more to Martel. Like, I'm like, okay. So it reminded me of the saying, when people show you who they are, trust them. Well, for me, Martel was showing who he was. First of all, he never had the conversation with the guys. I personally feel like they all should have came together. Like, and that Melody shouldn't have just relied on Martel to relay the message, but for whatever reason, I'm not even sure, she trusted him to do that. I don't know if I necessarily would have trusted him to do that, especially given his behavior at the table, because if he was bold enough to do that at the table with his friends and for millions of viewers to see, the cameras were rolling, at that point I felt like this is who he was, and this was typical behavior for him. And I felt like there was a lot more going on behind the scenes, and when the cameras weren't rolling, that we just weren't privy to. I mean, things started playing out later, for sure, but it was at that point that I started going, ugh. And it was at that point that I started not even liking him. Like, I didn't like him. No. Now, um, I heard that allegedly he's not the same from a particular person, out in these cyber streets, that he's not the same way in person. But, people show you sides that they want you to see when they want something from you. And then when they get that something from you, or, when, and then the real them comes out, it just takes time for them to kind of reel you in. Melody and Martel have been married for 14 years. So I'm sure what he was given at that table and what he gave afterwards, throughout all of the seasons and all of the episodes, he didn't give to Melody when he first met her either. So, and, and to Ariane, who he later, had a baby with, and who he had been in a relationship with for several years, 7 years, right? Initially, I'm sure that they didn't get that type of behavior. But yeah, for me, and if he wasn't dealing with his wife, I think he just got caught up in the moment. Like, he's dealing with Melody and his friends are here. He's not the type of individual, I think, that thinks big picture. Like, this is my opinion, that he doesn't think things through. He doesn't think it out. Like, okay, I'm on camera. I probably don't want to show this side of me. I probably don't want to say those things about her. He doesn't think that way. He's very reactionary. And so anyway, that's what I got. That's all I got for you for right now. Like I said, I am new blogger here, and I'm just getting my feet wet. I'm trying to learn the ins and outs of this whole thing, working YouTube and all the technicality and building a tribe and creating the content and dissecting the things that I see and giving you my perspective and the lessons that I can take out, from the things that we've seen, as a way of learning for myself and sharing with others that could possibly learn from these lessons. But yeah, so I'm so thrilled that you joined me again. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like button. Please subscribe and hit the notification button. And until next time, ciao.